Come at me, Aaron Black. My defense is strong. You're not hitting me. You're not hitting me, Aaron Black. I know how to fuzzy guard. Look at me. Where are you going to hit me? Where you hit me? You don't even know. You don't even know where you're going to hit me. I don't need to know. Stupid ass Aaron Black.
Hi, I'm SoCal Honey Badger, and that was my intro.
Okay, so today we will talk about fuzzy guarding. Now, you may have heard me or other high-level players say this term a lot and have no idea what it even means. So I'm going to explain what it is not, some of the history behind the technique, and also how to properly implement it in MK11. Now, fuzzy guarding is a technique that was created to be able to cover multiple unseeable and unreactable options at approximately the same time. You're not guarding absolutely, you're guarding with a high degree of certainty. Hence why we call it fuzzy guarding as opposed to, just guarding. Now, fuzzy guarding was created by players of Virtua Fighter. Virtua Fighter either 2 or 3, or I can't really remember, but it was around the time of 2 or 3, added the concept of mids to fighting games. Now, before Virtua Fighter, everything in every fighting game could feasibly be blocked crouching. Virtua Fighter was designed to be one of the first-ish esports, and they wanted it to be a viable, competitive sport, and also to look like an actual martial arts competition. So with crouch blocking beating everything in previous fighting games, Virtua Fighter's developers created the concept of mids, also known as overheads for our purposes in MK. And they are moves that needed to be blocked standing and crouching. They will hit you if you're crouch blocking. This forced players to stand block more often to avoid getting hit, and it also made fighting games look less stupid because nobody sits on the floor blocking in a real fight. Now, since some of these mids were quite fast and lows were also quite fast, you couldn't really react to a lot of your opponent's offense. It became somewhat of a guessing game whether to block standing or crouching. So, to alleviate this, players created the technique of fuzzy guarding. So, fuzzy guarding is when you block one way, then quickly block another way. Usually done by tapping block or tapping a direction and immediately releasing. So this is traditionally what it looks like. It looks kind of like a tea bag, right? So you're blocking high, then you're blocking low, then you're blocking high again. So why this works, let me pause the game here so that way I don't have to talk over it. Why this works is that there are certain frames of animation from transitioning from one block direction to another, right? So when I'm standing blocking and then I switch to crouch blocking, there are certain frames of animation where I am not really considered standing, I'm now considered blocking or crouching, and vice versa. And that happens very, very fast. So if somebody hits you with a really, really fast mix-up, the idea behind fuzzy blocking is to be transitioning so fast that you end up blocking in both directions at almost the exact same time. So if they're going high or they're going low and I don't know, I do this, and the idea is that hopefully wherever they're going to attack me from, I'm going to be in that position when the move makes contact with my body. Now, because there is a certain thing called block stun in fighting games, once I block a move properly, I'm locked into the animation of blocking that move and in the position that that move should be blocked in. So if I do a fuzzy guard and they hit me with an overhead and I catch it at the exact frame when I'm standing, the overhead will be blocked, and then I'm going to be locked into a standing position. Even if I'm holding down or pressing down or whatever, I'm going to be locked into that standing position for the exact amount of time that that move is being blocked, and then I can switch over from there. So that you're not really guessing between a high and a low, you're trying to cover both options. Now, this isn't a foolproof thing, because obviously you're moving up and down so quickly that if you're caught during the crouching animation and they hit you with an overhead, or if you're caught in the standing animation and they hit you with a low, you're still going to get hit. But what it does is it takes a 50-50 situation and it kind of makes it more like a 60-40 situation. It's not foolproof and it's not guaranteed, but it gives you a better likelihood and probability and math words and all of that, statistically, chance to block correctly, rather than just standing there and hoping to react or hoping to guess. You kind of take away the guesswork by doing this. And that's traditionally how fuzzy blocking works in pretty much every fighting game ever. This is more prevalent in 3D fighting games rather than 2D fighting games, but Mortal Kombat is basically a 3D fighting game without sidestepping. So this is one way, the traditional way to fuzzy block. But because in this game overheads are generally pretty slow and pretty reactable, you really don't want to be doing that too much. You want to just kind of default to your crouch block, see an overhead coming, block it appropriately, then go back to your crouch block. Now, the regular traditional fuzzy blocking was a little bit more important in a game like Mortal Kombat X, because you had a lot of really fast, unseeable overheads and lows to deal with. So you did want to kind of fuzzy block in the traditional sense. There are certain situations that people consider a fuzzy block in this game, but they're really not. And let me explain one of those situations. Okay, so this is a common situation you probably found yourself in Mortal Kombat 11, and people say, oh yeah, it's just fuzzy. This is a fuzzyable situation. You can fuzzy guard it. But it's really not, and the situation is usually when Joker hits you with this string, right? And he can end it in several ways. He can end it with a low, or he can end it with an overhead. And you're sitting there wondering, what the hell do I block? Where do I block? And people will tell you, oh yeah, you just fuzzy it. It's a fuzzyable thing. This isn't really a fuzzy guard though. And the reason why is because if you look at this special move, the overhead, it starts up at 23 frames, which means that it is seeable and reactable. So when you can see something and react to it, because it's slow enough, that's not really a fuzzy guard. That's just you blocking correctly. Like he did an overhead and you saw it and then you blocked it. And that's not a fuzzy. A fuzzy is when you're fuzzy guarding to beat something that's unreactable. So let me show you. Let me switch over to the Kano here and we'll record. Right there. Oops, that was stupid. Yeah, I should edit that. There we go. So, there's the low. Okay. Well, let me do another recording. So there's the low. And then we will record slot 2, the overhead. Right. There you get scared of that. And now we will set the playback to random. And now I don't know if he's going to go low or overhead. I'm just going to try and block and react. So there's the overhead. There's my screw up. There's the overhead. There's the low. There's me getting hit by the low. There's me getting hit by the low. There's the low. There's the overhead. You can do it again. Any day, Joker. There's the overhead. One more time, buddy. There's the low. Anyways, as you can see, you can reliably practice blocking this and reacting to the overhead. It's in the seeable range. It's 23 frames on startup. I'm not fuzzy guarding. I'm just holding my defense and then seeing the overhead and then blocking it appropriately. So this is not actually a fuzzy guard, and this is not actually a fuzzy guard situation, because you can practice and learn how to block it. Fuzzy guarding is when you cannot practice, you cannot learn how to react to something. So you're kind of fuzzying between several different options and kind of hoping that you guess right. Remember, fuzzy guarding is not 100% absolute perfect blocking. It's increasing your chances of blocking correctly by manipulating the fact that there are animations of transitioning between one or the other. So even if I hit the button to crouch block, because it takes me a while to crouch and for the game to actually register that I'm in a crouch block situation, and if they hit me with an overhead during those animations, it will still consider me standing. So even though I went to crouch, I was stand blocking, blah, 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 blah. I already explained that. But this is not a fuzzyable situation. You need to just not get hit by that overhead and learn to react. Now, this is for online or offline play. Online, things are a little different. You get dropped frames, you get lag, you get things like that. So it is kind of a fuzzy guard situation online. But offline, if you're playing or if you're playing with a good connection, you can react to this. You just need to practice reacting to it. So it is not a fuzzy guard. What I'm going to explain is the actual fuzzy guard situation that's actually more common in this game, and how to do it, and why you should do it. Here is the actual fuzzyable situation and how you would actually fuzzy guard. In this game, there are very few mix-ups that are unseeable and unreactable as it relates to lows and overheads. You got, this low, right? That's unseeable. That's really slow. You can see it and react to it, and that's how most of the low overhead works in this game. However, the actual true 50-50 in this game is between strike throw, right? Strikes and throws, there are strikes that are unreactable. They're faster than 19 frames, and grabs are universally 10 frames. So if somebody hits you with a fast strike or decides to go for a throw, you can't really reliably react to it and defend accordingly. You kind of have to guess, and this is where fuzzy guarding becomes an issue, and this is where you want to start implementing it. So you see, Kung Lao, what are we doing? I thought I switched. Let me switch to Kung Lao. Kung Lao has this move, forward one, the 10 frame mid, he has a grab. Again, those are 10 frames, so you can't really react to either of those. You have to guess. Now what you can do instead is, yeah, you're guessing, but you can fuzzy guard to avoid sort of, kind of, both of those options. And if you do it fast enough, you can reliably block it more or avoid the grab more often than not. It's not 100%. It's not foolproof. You can still do a hard read and take the guess, or you can fuzzy guard and hope that, during the animations of the block or the crouch, you end up avoiding them. So the reason why that works is in this game has a block button. That means blocking actually has startup animation. There are certain frames of animation you have to go through before the game realizes that you're blocking, even after you press the button, right? Now that startup, I believe, is about 4 frames, but you can see here, right, I'm neutral crouching, I push block, he puts his hands up to guard, and then when I let go, he pulls his hands down to let go of the block. So you're kind of fuzzying to exploit that. If I catch the block at the right time, I will block the attack. If I catch the neutral duck at the right time during those animations, even though I pressed block, it'll still get the grab to whiff. And the idea is to do it very, very fast, right? You're going to do that, and that's kind of the fuzzy block situation. So the way you can test this out is we go in and record my man's Kung Lao. He's going to come in, he's going to do that, and then we're going to record our second option, and he's going to come in and he's going to do that, right? So we'll set this playback to random, and you can kind of sit there and fuzzy guard, right? Right? So you kind of whiff it pretty quickly, and the idea is to catch either the block or the attack, and you see how he just keeps blocking, he keeps grabbing. There we go. Got the attack. I missed it there. Got it there. Got it there. Missed it there. Got the grab to whiff. Missed the attack. So you see that this is not foolproof. It's not 100%. It takes a 50-50 situation and it turns it into more of a 60-40 situation, which is still, it's not perfect odds, but it's better than just guessing. Now, again, online, this is not very reliable, but offline, it's a pretty reliable tactic, and it's something that you'll want to start incorporating into your gameplay to avoid situations like that where you're just guessing. Now, a lot of you guys that watch me play on stream or you play against me, and you guys always call out, when I catch the grabs, wow, you made a read on the grab, you're so good. And in all honesty, I didn't make a read on the grab. I was just fuzzying and hoping that my fuzzy would catch the grab, and I caught the grab, and then I blew it up. So you can sit there and start practicing that, and you'll find that more often than not, you will catch the grab or the mid or the attack or whatever it is. It won't be 100% of the time, but 50% of the time, it works every time. Right? Hold on. Let me get my calculator. Oh, wait. No, I just said it wasn't 50. Yeah. So 60% of the time, it works every time. But that's an actual fuzzy guard situation. There are other situations where you would want a fuzzy, and there are certain situations where you can time it right, where the fuzzy will be a little bit more reliable. Certain strings that have built-in mix-ups that are kind of hard to react to, and you can fuzzy guard, and if you get the timing right, then you'll guard it properly. Again, those aren't really fuzzy guarding. That's just tech, because the whole concept behind fuzzy guarding, and the reason why it's called fuzzy guarding, is because whether or not it's going to work is fuzzy, right? It's not 100%. You don't know. You're kind of just hoping that you're caught up in an animation when they're hitting you with a move that block animation will catch. So it's fuzzy. It's not 100%, but it's better than just flipping a coin and hoping. It's maybe a lot safer than trying to make a hard read and being wrong, because I can still make a read with the fuzzy guard. I can still say, all right, he's going to block or he's going to attack, but just in case, I'm going to fuzzy real quick, and then hopefully if he does grab, so I make the read, he's going to attack, right, I can block, and then release it at the right time, and hopefully catch it, right, so I'm blocking, releasing, blocking. You see how I'm starting out with the read that he's going to attack, so I'm blocking the attack. Then when he dashes in, I let go of block for a very split second. If the grab came out, the grab will whiff. If the attack came out, I was already blocking, so I'm going to continue to block. Again, it's not foolproof, but it'll certainly help you out a lot in your game plan. So you guys go out there, start practicing your fuzzy blocking, and stop getting hit with grabs, and stop just neutral ducking all day and looking for grabs and eating combos, because see you guys doing that silly shit. And don't do that, all right? So, yeah, anyways.
Hey, so, if you follow YouTube enough, you know that they like to put weird stuff all over the screen for the last 30 seconds. So this is going to fill that space. Yeah. It's probably right there and there. All over the place right now. Yeah, go ahead and click that stuff if you want. And that's 30 seconds.